twisted new season of The Traitors is finally here.
What did I get myself into?
The prize, $250,000.
I'm gonna lie and cheat and do whatever I have to do to win.
If you're gonna come for me, I'll finish you.
Shame on you!
I'm out for blood.
It is like a firing squad. Boom, 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 boom.
Let the games begin. Emmy Award winner, The Traitors. New episodes streaming Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Peacock.
How you doing?
Marvellous, thanks, Ed. Just about recovered
Marvellous.
from the knot of frustration that was watching Man United against Stoke, and just about warmed up after that too.
Yeah. Strange game, wasn't it? Because United created like 25 chances or something crazy like that. A lot of chances,
Yeah.
although not too many of them actually very good chances. And I suppose, you know, there was a level of intensity and determination in the second half, which has now become a hallmark of Mourinho's team. I think it's fair to say, not surprised anymore, is it? Getting a late goal. But the first half, man, was that pretty rubbish.
Yeah, it was real bad. I mean, in terms of the quality of chances, whatever the faults of XG are or are not, it's a decent kind of, at the very least, it's a decent snapshot of the quality of the chances. And Stokes was 0.2 and United's was 2, which I think sounds about right. A 2-0 win to United probably would have felt pretty fair on the balance of play in that game. But yeah, the first half was a complete... I mean, they sort of grew into it a bit in about the last 10 minutes of the first half, I think, as they kind of warmed up and maybe thought about the rollicking that they were going to get at half-time.
Yeah, I guess so. It was slow and it wasn't very... there wasn't much from United in the attacking sense. I mean, it was good to the final third, wasn't it? And then there are a few longer-range shots, quite a lot of block shots. It's not as if United were carving Stoke open all the time. Although, perhaps Wayne Rooney should have scored. In the right end.
Was that in the first half? It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was, from like a yard out or whatever.
Oh, that was just the worst. And a break with tradition and do an early Rantcast question. Friend of the show, Simon Stevens, asking, do you get as upset as I do, like properly slightly teary upset when Juan Mata has a bad game? I don't quite, but I can definitely relate. There is something about Juan Mata missing that chance that hurt particularly intensely.
Yeah, I mean, all the rating algorithms out there, I'm sure will rate him down, won't they? Because not only did he fluff that great chance and not really create much, which is unusual for him, but scored an own goal. Is that the first own goal he's ever scored in his career?
Yeah. It was indeed. According to joe.co.uk, Juan Mata is still achieving new things at the age of almost 29 as he scored the first own goal of his career.
Yeah, I think actually it going in was a bit unlucky. Him not properly tracking his runner, that's pretty criminal. And I have to say, it's the kind of thing he's corrected in his game. And especially under Van Gaal, he became a much better defender, much better sort of team player, I suppose. But it's also the kind of thing that José Mourinho will not look upon kindly at all. I mean, he'll have definitely noticed this is Mata not following his runner. As a result, he's slightly out of position. As a result, it's a goal. I'd be really surprised if we see Mata much for the next couple of weeks, because Jose has this little vindictive streak.
Punishment beatings. The punishment beatings will begin.
You and Boris, you love a soundbite, don't you?
It's very, very unfortunate that he missed that chance so soon after it.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Boris Johnson. That's unfortunate.
Well, obviously, it's very, very unfortunate that an absolute buffoon was put in charge of a major metropolitan city and then made foreign secretary. But that's that goes without saying, doesn't it? Was the chance? So I've watched it. I think I saw one replay of it. I couldn't bring myself to watch much of the day. In real time from like the Stoke press box, which is way up high in their big stand, it looked like an absolute sitter. Was there any kind of bobble? Did it come at him quick?
Nah. No, and the defender hasn't even touched it. He might have been anticipating the defender touching it. So it's Martin Zindi, isn't it, who's trying to get to the ball as well. Yeah, as far as I could tell, no real bobble, no nick off the defender or anything like that. Just lack of composure. I mean, Mata's touch is beautiful and soft and sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just let him down.
Do you think that it might be that he was just completely shocked that Ibrahimovic had passed?
Maybe, yeah. Actually, I mean, Ibrahimovic does pass, which is, accounts for his high assist record, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, very much so. He was hot garbage in this football game. Zlatan Ibrahimovic been on an incredible run of form, playing brilliantly, producing at a rate of knots. Hot garbage in this game. I really thought that Juan Mata's terrible performance got Ibra off a lot of criticism lightly. Well,
the front three were all pretty poor, weren't they? I mean, not only just missing good chances, but just not that effective. So Mata, a stinker, Ibrahimovic, a real stinker. You're right, saved by Mata's stinker. And Mkhitaryan, not good either, and he's gone off the boil a little bit. Midfield was okay. I thought Fellaini, for all the fact that he slows the game down a lot, did okay. He wasn't too bad. Herrera was energetic. I thought he was probably the best of our midfielders. Pogba, all right. Didn't have a stinker, which was good. Coming after Liverpool, I was hoping he'd have a big one. And the back four, okay, but it's the front three that really let United down.
Well, I thought actually Mkhitaryan did provide the closest things to moments of brilliance, especially in the first half. There's one incredible run where he picks up the ball and kind of like beats loads of the Stoke players. He picks it up wide and ends up with it central and slips an absolutely beautiful through ball to Zlatan, who just beyond all understanding why that one he passed, because it looked like a very good angle for a shot, and he just sort of half passed, half shot and was easily cleared. That was brilliant from Mkhitaryan. In the second half, I thought there's a couple of interesting points. One, I thought was really notable that he brought on Rashford instead of Rooney, which given everything, given the narrative, all the kind of build up around Rooney, I thought that really tells you where Rooney is in the pecking order, that he's not the first sub on to rescue the team. He tried that against Liverpool. It didn't work in the slightest. Well, apart from the goal, obviously. But, in terms of the balance of play, it didn't work. So he turned to Rashford instead and took Fellaini off, which was the sensible thing. And I thought that period, up until the next substitution, was actually United's best spell in the game. Rashford, 4-4-2, basically.
And really went bold as well. So sort of a 20 minutes of the second half when United were pretty good. And look, it was important, I think, to make those changes. There were positive changes. We've been a little bit critical of Mourinho in the past this season for being a bit conservative, a bit like for like in his changes. He's been quite bold on a number of occasions recently, I think. Yeah, it's the United way or something like that. Yeah. Sure, Rashford needed minutes, and he was the guy who, with the pace, was most likely to trouble Shawcross, and Shawcross, who was playing basketball for half the game. Two clear handballs against him. And Martin Zindi, neither of them are quick. Good to. I mean, in fact, the whole of Stoke's back four is a bit ponderous. I mean, Glenn Johnson, not the player he was, and he wasn't that great a player to start with. So it's
and he wears the number 8 at right back.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, Morgan Schneiderlin's wearing the number 2 at Everton.
Yeah, don't like this.
They should swap.
You know what? Call me old-fashioned, but I quite like 1 to 11.
Yeah, me too.
In the right order.
But I don't mind a 39 for Rashford. I don't mind a young player with an outrageous number that kind of becomes associated. That's fine. Or even a Roy Keane 16. There's the odd exception, but it's got to be iconic. Rashford was absolutely brilliant for that spell. Every time he ran at him, he looked like he was going to create something. He looked like he was feeling his oats, and I really thought the goal was going to come through him. But it all kind of died when Rooney and Lingard came on, one after the other in pretty quick succession, and all the little momentum and attacking fluency that we'd built up basically evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts of that second half that were proper turgid, weren't they? It was starting to get hard to watch. And it didn't really look like the goal was coming. It's not like, there's a level of determination there, but weren't battering Stoke's door down. And, fortunately, get the free kick right at the end, and Rooney comes up with an absolute beauty for his 250th.
What a wonderful moment that was.
You sure he wasn't trying to cross?
He was definitely shooting, wasn't he? That's
no, he absolutely smacked it. Yeah. No. Great goal, and a fitting style of goal, I think, for his 250th. I know the 249th was a bit of a shank, a shin.
Yeah.
He's good at spectacular shins as well, of course. But no, this was fitting, I think, for breaking Bobby Charlton's record.
And we talked a ton about the record last week on the show, but we have to mention it again. Mourinho, very, very odd vibe when he was asked about it in the
just a little bit, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I was sat directly opposite him in the second row of the press conference, watching him when he responded, and he was... I guess he must have known that'd be the first question. Maybe it was just that he was super annoyed because United hadn't won and everything that meant for the season and all that stuff. Like, he couldn't enjoy it, even though it was an equaliser. But a little part of me also wonders if it's just that the story was about someone else. And Mourinho's, that's not his favourite subject, is it? Other people.
Maybe. I mean, he was clearly pretty annoyed in all of the post-match interviews, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He said he couldn't be particularly happy about the late goal because United hadn't played well and had dropped points. And that's right. Look, this was a game United had to win. It's been a disastrous weekend for United. Chelsea won, Arsenal won, City won.
City didn't win.
City drew.
Yeah.
City drew. But we haven't gained any ground on anybody, and in fact lost ground to some.
Well,
so.
I don't know if I could say it was a disastrous weekend. It was much more a huge missed opportunity because Liverpool lost, which is massive, and Spurs and Chelsea drew, which is perfect. So, Spurs and City drew, which is perfect. So only two of the teams above them won. So it's missed opportunity territory rather than disaster territory.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but how many of those can we have?
No, not many more. This is huge for the direction of the league.
Yeah. So I was looking at all the various prediction models. There's several out there. There's the Infostrada one, or I think they're called Grace Note now. 538 have started doing a model as well. All of them
they
have
give us a 35% chance of making the Champions League because then I'll be happy.
Yeah, they did last week. It's less now.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people not understanding how probabilities work, I think. An awful lot of people out there.
Everyone.
It's a chance.
100% of people don't understand how probability works.
Yeah. So to imagine, just imagine you go into a betting office and you want to bet on a horse and they say it's 10-3 on the nose, 10-3 to win. They're saying your probability of winning is 3 times out of 10. Well, you kind of get that, right? What 538 said before the general election was that in the States was that Donald Trump had a 3.5 out of 10 chance of winning the election. So it does happen sometimes. Right? I think that was simple enough, wasn't it? And patronising enough.
To be fair to them also, that was one of the more Trump-friendly models. I don't mean they were in favour of it. I just mean that was one of the models that suggested a higher likelihood than many of the rather sweeping models. In fact, Nate Silver was quite conservative all the way through that campaign. Anyway,
he was. Yeah, he was.
Let's not talk about this terrible subject again.
Yeah, well, as Nate Silver said, they corrected for the fact that kind of right-wing Republicans don't admit they are in polling. And other stuff. Anyway, back to the model that basically shows United are likely to finish 6th on the balance of probabilities, and that 4th place could be a much higher points total than we've been used to. So 70, 71, 72, typically okay to get 4th place. Because of the nature of the Premier League this season, where 6 are out in front and everyone else is way behind, it could be anything like 76 points to get into the Champions League this time round, which means United are going to have an absolutely barnstorming last, 15, 16 games of the season.
It's interesting you say that Mourinho said he wasn't happy because of the way United played. When I asked him if if there was anything he wasn't happy about apart from the finishing, which is all he talked about at that point. He said, no, we defended, we kept them far away from our goal all the way through. We created plenty of chances. Our only problem was our finishing. So I thought that was kind of interesting because it didn't look to me like this was like the previous draw with Stoke. I would totally be with him 100%. That was an almost perfect game of football, barring some disastrous last second execution. But this one didn't seem like that to me. Did we hit the post? He was talking about us hitting the post. I can't remember. We probably did.
Yeah, Lingard.
Oh, yeah.
Lingard hit the bar, but it wasn't going in at any point, was it? It clipped the top of the bar.
In fact, we talked about that with the Pogba goal, that the Pogba free kick where he hit the inside of the post, as compared to this kind. This is exactly the kind of thing that I was talking about when I said there are some which never look like going in. This was one of those.
Right, yeah. So I don't think that's United being unlucky. I just don't think it was a great performance. And, I said that on Twitter and I got a bunch of people going, what game are you watching? And various other stuff that wasn't quite as polite. But look, the game is played over the whole pitch. And for 2/3 of the pitch, United were very good. In the last third, not good at all. And, don't want to harp on about the obvious here, but you've got to score goals to win games.
It's quite an important third of the pitch, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
So it was really... I couldn't tell. I genuinely, I couldn't tell how much I was really frustrated and annoyed because it was really cold. Like, I had 5 layers on. I was I've rarely in my life been that cold. No wonder I've never been to the UKIP 365 stadium, but that was my first trip to that ground, and I can see why it has that reputation. The cold reputation, not the UKIP reputation. That's a whole different thing.
Yes, and welcome to Politics Cast.
Anyway, I talked to my dad after the game. I was like, I went to Stoke. And he was like, Stoke! That's why they're going to have a by-election. Worried about that one. So yeah, that's my football conversations with my dad. They very quickly veer off football. Anyway, so anything else of note after that game? Mark Hughes was really gracious about Man United.
He was really surprising because he's, he doesn't half give a great impression of being very bitter, and it doesn't make any sense, does he? He's turned in from this mild-mannered guy off the pitch and absolute brute on it to being this brute off the pitch. He's obviously got to get his frustration out somewhere, and it's tended to be directed at United over the years. But he was very gracious about it, wasn't he?
There was a good moment where someone in the crowd threw the ball back to where he was, and he tried to control it, and it came off his foot and went into the touchline. And the ref came over to have a very stern word with him, like he kicked the ball away, and he pointed to the outside of his shoe as if to say, "Look, I'm just wearing ordinary shoes. I couldn't control it. I've lost my first touch." Okay, he'd have killed that dead in his pomp. But yeah, I asked him about...
Maybe that's Wayne Rooney's excuse.
Maybe so. I asked him about where he thought United were at, and he said he thought they were a really good side with really good players, and he was absolutely delighted that they'd taken 2 points off him this season. And he was very, very gracious and complimentary about Wayne Rooney. He made a little joke when, he said they've had some great strikers over the years, which was quite funny. But he was just very full of praise for Rooney, which Mourinho wasn't. He kind of said, I think they should talk about this for 24 hours and then no more.
And then it's like talking about China.
Did he? I missed that.
Well, not in a press conference. In one of the other interviews, he...
What did he say?
Well, he said that he can't begrudge any players who want to go to China. It's about their career and their life, and if Rooney wants to do that, he can, basically. Ow.
Also, here is this ticket, and I've packed in my bag, and this is a Learn Mandarin phrase book, and...
Yeah, and we'll put your statue on the Holy Trinity.
Yeah. And bonjour, Antoine. Entrez, comment ça va? Ici, c'est le shirt numéro 7.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, look, quick word about Rooney, because, I've had a couple of digs at him. 44 years that record has stood for. And I think we probably have to think about this, record in context, don't we? For all the fact that Rooney's a kind of punch-drunk boxer clambering on the ropes in terms of getting over the record, because the last 20 goals have been painful, haven't they? But for all of that, 250 goals at a club like United is absolutely top stuff. 44 years in the making. It might be another 40 till someone breaks that record.
Or even longer.
Or even longer, yeah. So you have to put it in that context. It's an amazing achievement, incredible achievement. I was looking up some of the player statistics from around other sort of clubs around England. It's 212 at Chelsea, 211 at Chelsea with Frank Lampard, 228 at Arsenal with Thierry Henry, 360 at Liverpool with Ian Rush, but he was a proper striker, Rush, wasn't he? And Rooney's hardly played. I mean, he's probably played less than half of his games at number 9 for United. Who have I missed out?
Ian Rush played half of his game in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, City's like Eric, whatever his name, I've forgotten his name now, on 150 from the 1920s, right? So in an English context, if you take Messi and Ronaldo out of this for a second, in English context, Rooney's right up there with the greatest goal scorers, ever in the history of the game, amongst top clubs at United. Alan Shearer's like on 290 odd just in the Premier League, another freak of nature, Alan Shearer, and a proper number 9 who scored a bag of goals. So, just context at United, the greatest goal scorer in the club's history, a record that might never be broken or may take decades to break, one of the greatest goal scorers in the Premier League or English football's history, and obviously the top goal scorer for his country.
Yeah. And I said this I spoke to Adam on Full Time Devils after the game, and I said a similar thing, but one of the qualities I most admire is persistence. And Rooney might not have lived up to one aspect of his potential, but the one thing that he has had in absolute spades is persistence. I don't think I've ever seen him give up in the context of a match, and he definitely has never given up despite of everything going on around him in terms of his career. And, the achievements of longevity almost sometimes get slightly written off as not being as impressive or as flashy as achievements of like incredible technical brilliance or whatever. But longevity requires some really important human characteristics, and he's had that in spadefuls. So it's an incredible, mind-bogglingly huge achievement. It's the kind of achievement that feels normal when you live through it because you've seen it happen slowly over time, but absolutely is not normal. Like you said, 40, Bobby Charlton, a player neither of us have seen play, and we're both old men. He's the record that got replaced. None of the other players we've seen come and go from the club have done this since then, and that's a lot of players.
Of course, Rooney's got 4 goals, which you might want to question.
Come on now.
One in the Community Shield, that's a friendly. I don't care. I mean, you got to chalk that one off. And 3 in the Club World Cup, which is, basically against like some team from Antarctica or something. So,
come on, world champions twice, once more than England, world champions twice.
So they
say he can't do it on the international.
By my
stage.
reckoning, he's got to score another 4 to be the proper record holder, which he probably will do this season.
You're not going to add the into Anglo-Italian Cup goals on Charlton's record as well.
Well, I think if you're counting the Community Shield, you've got to, haven't you?
I think he's done it. He's broken a record, and he can get that off his back and enjoy the rest of his time at United, whether that's half a season or a season and a half.
Or a couple of weeks. January isn't out yet.
Imagine. That is definitely not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not. And I am jesting about the goals. So well done, Wayne. I know you've been waiting in anticipation of praise from the Raincast.
He definitely doesn't listen to this show. He tried and gave up on the 400th time we were having a go at him for no reason. So that was the Stoke game. Before we get to the bumper-packed Twitter question section, I had the pleasure of speaking to football writer and poet Musa Okwonga about Manchester United's fortunes this season. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Musa Okwonga, the poet and author, and we had a brilliant conversation, half an hour of amazing stuff where you accused me of being a climate change denier and all sorts.
That still rankles, doesn't it?
Just want to be clear, that's not quite what happened.
Well, it kind of is, and it is kind of what happened, and you're obviously still a bit sore about it. But that's not. Don't worry, that's what the podcast is for.
Look, it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. That's all I can say. Unfortunately, we lost that. I can't believe. Technology. What happened there? I'm intimating that I deleted it because you called me a climate change denier, but that's not what happened. It was a brilliant conversation. It got lost in the midst of time, so we've left it a couple of weeks to get some new things happening in the world of football. So we didn't just have the same conversation again. But I guess I'd like to start with what you've made of Mourinho so far. And actually, after the Liverpool game, we're recording this after Liverpool, before Stoke. So that sort of sets it into context. And in a way, it's an even more interesting context, I think, than where we were a few weeks ago.
It's amazing what has changed and how quickly. I have to say this, it's amazing. I mean, if you'd asked me leading into early December, where do you think things are going? I actually would have been, I'm not sure this is going to work. And I would have said that. I think I even said that before. I think I've said that on the record, and I've got no problem with that and being held to those words, because I just didn't see it working. I mean, what was happening? I mean, it seemed that Mourinho has really found a formula that works. And it seems, having said that at the same time, that he also exhausted all possibilities that people were telling him would work before. This is the strange thing. So don't get me wrong, he has absolutely got everyone firing. Martial's looking terrific now. I think he should be slightly closer to goal, but I mean, that's more the flaw in the fullback not pushing high enough to overlap. But fundamentally, Mourinho he's got United playing really exciting football. Really exciting football. Let's not forget, if United had taken the lead against Liverpool, they could have been 2 or 3. It really could have. At that point, if Pogba had scored that chance, it would have settled his nerves, which were, we'll get onto that I'm sure in a bit, which were all over the place. Mkhitaryan had a good effort that maybe should have done better with. And United could have won that, and that would have been the signature win. So actually, Mourinho is doing, at the moment, he's doing pretty much everything right. There's 1 or 2 things he can improve, but at the moment, it's looking terrific, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that we didn't really have a disagreement about, but I was sort of playing devil's advocate in a way, was over the handling of Henrik Mkhitaryan. And I think your position was very much that Mourinho claiming any credit for Mkhitaryan's sort of emergence was pretty foolhardy, given how good he was in Germany last year. Is that still your take on it a few weeks down the line?
I think, to be honest, I think it is. Yeah, it is. Only because, look at the difference Carrick has made. So, Carrick had a fairly poor game against Liverpool, but one of his, he I think one terrible pass into touch, and I think he struggled against the press, which is that's what Liverpool do. But he still should have done better than that. But the introduction of Carrick into the team, the late introduction of Mkhitaryan, maybe United could have picked up some points earlier in the season. I think that with those players in the team, and I think that actually Mourinho's treatment of Mkhitaryan, I think it was extreme. It's not that it was, let's ease him in, whatever, but he would throw Mkhitaryan almost under the bus. So that the example I always use is the Feyenoord game, when I think United were 2-0 down and were not cohesive in any attacking sense at all. He then threw Mkhitaryan into the mix with 20 minutes to go, and after the game said, that's the kind of match where big players make impacts. So I thought, when I saw that, I was like, okay, look, this is something else. This is not about you trying to ease him in or help him adapt. That's about some other vindictive Mourinho just being unusual or odd. And I have to just sort of stick by that, because I think that's that happened. And at the same time, you had Mourinho playing Fellaini at the back of the midfield. So when Fellaini plays at the back of the midfield, the problem is you lose the fluency, you lose the ball into feet at high speed. And he's fixed that problem. He's now using Fellaini as a kind of impact player, which is actually his best role, I think. So Mourinho's ironed out the kinks. But, let's not let him completely off the hook. I think there was an element of trial and error in this season, which everyone's entitled to, of course. Conte had to do that. Conte reshaped the 3-4-3. But I think Mourinho's period of adjustment lasted about a month longer than it should have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a reasonable point. What did you put the turnaround down to on the pitch? Like, was it just the introduction of Carrick? Is there more to it than that?
I think introduction of Carrick was one thing, but also Zlatan just found his shooting boots. So I write for ESPN, as you know, and a piece that I wrote after Zlatan had 3 or 4 games of really poor finishing was, look, just stick with him. He's getting in a position. He's creating chances. He is doing a bit of playmaking. He's not just being, sort of a lone warrior up there by himself. Let the chances fall. And there was a couple of games when he missed some absolute shockers. I don't know if it was a Stoke game early on against Stoke.
Stoke and Burnley, they were the two.
And Pogba. I mean, Burnley, we can discount them. The keeper to play out of his mind, but Zlatan does miss a couple of sitters. But the Stoke game in particular, if United had scored early, then they would have run riot. But the point is, it's the old cliche, he was getting in position. And I think I wrote this, at the moment his finishing clicks, which it will, because he's too good and too proud for it not to, then United will be a different team. And that's happened.
So what have you made of him on this run?
Ibrahimovic.
Yeah.
I think he's been terrific, really. If you consider, this is a free transfer. He's 35 years old. I mean, discarding into that, he's been a dominant figure, one of the leading goal scorers in the Premier League. His presence is working really well. It's now allowing people to run off him. Now him and Pogba, that great understanding has really come to fruition. That terrific goal he scored, the second goal in one of the clinching games, I can't remember the run it was in now, but when Pogba dispossesses midfielders and runs through and just plays Zlatan in, and the way they were just in sync was just terrific to see. So Zlatan understands the forward line, and the great thing about it now is they don't seem to have that much ego about being rotated, which is really nice. Like, Mourinho has solved the Rooney problem, it seems. Rooney's accepted it. I think something's happened there. Something has happened to make that dynamic work out, I think.
I think it's one of his most impressive achievements so far, and it's early days yet, because
absolutely.
Maybe he's told Rooney he's going to be vital in the second half of the season or something like that. I suspect that might not be the case, but it is kind of amazing how effortlessly he handled that Rooney situation.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we talk again. I have a partial. I've got a reserved criticism of Mourinho in the sense that I think that the theory of allowing him to play himself out of the team lasted a bit too long. Again, I think it was a couple of weeks longer than it should have been. And I think it's given United slightly too much to do in the second half of the season. Unfortunately, I think it's slightly too much to do. Having said that, in the longer term, it's really good for United and Mourinho and the squad in general, because he's basically held up a mirror to Rooney somehow and said, look, these guys are getting it done. You look at Rashford, you look at Martial, you look at Pogba, you look at the players ahead of you, Mkhitaryan and Mata, who's been terrific as well. Full respect to him. They deserve their place ahead of you. They really do. And we've tried the Rooney, Zlatan thing. It didn't work. We've tried you as a 10. Didn't work. Everyone's doing better at you as a starter, but you can have an impact off the bench. And so Rooney off the bench, apart from the Liverpool game, where I think actually it was slightly unfair on him. He wasn't as poor as people say he was against Liverpool. He did add that energy when he first came on. I think, again, as an impact player, Rooney has a role to play.
How long do you see that role lasting?
I'm not sure. I mean, look, he is... In a way, Rooney's almost making himself obsolete by breaking these goal-scoring records. This is the thing, because, Rooney breaks the records, then where does he go from there? Like, he's won everything at United. He's done it all, 5 league titles, Champions League, 2 league cups, FA Cup, whatever it is. He's done it. And then he's the top scorer at United. And that means, well, you're a club legend, but there's no actual direct incentive to put you in the team beyond keeping you happy, which is obviously, want to keep you happy and, you're a club legend. You're a club legend with reservations. But, well, where does he go from there? And I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, how much longer does Rooney have at United? I'm speculating, but I'd be surprised if he does the full 2019. I'd be surprised if he goes all the way to the end of his contract, I have to say.
I like the idea that the reason he's been so terrible over the last few months is that he's trying to eke out the goal-scoring record so it doesn't come too quickly.
Wait. These are not... Let me say for the record categorically. That is a very interesting construction of my words. There's no sound bites for me for this time. I'm playing with a straight bat this week.
One of my favourite of your poems was the poem you wrote about Zlatan. It's the photo of him stretching. I wonder if
yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Could you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yes. So there's a brilliant football photographer, he's a sports photographer, Ryu Verkel. And Ryu is one of the best in the world, basically. Works regularly with Nike and with Adidas. And I got to know back for our all-conquering, well, not all-conquering, but our sort of elite-level amateur football team, SFC Inter, who I play with in Berlin. He's the fullback, and he said, look, I would love to do a project where you respond to a poem that I've taken, a photo that I've taken. So he would send me, let's say, 3 photos from a Dortmund match that he'd taken the night before. I would select one of them and then write a poem that morning and send it to him, sort of almost like a sort of first take, no redraft, just my instant reaction to it. And they normally took about, I suppose, 30 minutes to write, and I'd write them in the morning with a mug of black coffee at 6:30 a.m. So they'd just be like, fresh off the press. Yeah, the project's up on Medium. We really love doing it, and we've done about, I think, 30 of them now. And we're looking to do some kind of coffee table book at some point because they've been really popular in the kind of football niche that we both occupy.
I think it was the thing about that Zlatan poem is, if I remember rightly, you talked about worlds left to conquer, and I think the sense of that was almost that he's kind of done what he needs to do to prove himself. I think it's absolutely incredible that there's this kind of epilogue on his career in the Premier League where, there's been these kind of little Englanders saying for years and years, oh, you couldn't do it in the Premier League, of sort of thing. Not necessarily in a Cockney accent, in a variety of English accents.
Well, it's exactly that. Yeah. Sorry, carry on. I'm being rude. Carry on, please.
No, not at all. No, jump in.
Well, it is frustrating. I mean, the little Englander thing, it's a pretty pervasive attitude at the moment. But this thought that you can't do anything until you've done it in front of us. You're not that good until you've made it here. There are people, I'm sure, who still doubt Iniesta, for example. Oh, my goodness, can he do it on a cold... Well, actually, he can do it on a cold, wet night in Stoke. Or play... someone like... Mkhitaryan's a classic example. Oh, can he do it in the Premier League? Well, the dude, made his name in the Ukraine, having left Armenia. And he went to Dortmund, is not for shrinking violence. Neither club is for shrinking violence. It's like doubting Brazilian players that come to Europe. You had to, look at Ronaldo. There's a great game when Ronaldo plays up at Spartak Moscow in the snow and dribbles over ice and snow and sleet and mud. And you're thinking, well, how much tougher do foreigners have to prove themselves? And Zlatan's case is a microcosm of that. A lot of players did not respect Zlatan. A lot of fans did not respect him until he scored 4 goals against England. He literally had to shove the most spectacular attacking performance in international football the last couple of years down England's throats for them to acknowledge him. And I think it's funny because if you talk to defenders in the Premier League, they will have a very different story. They never underestimated him. And I think it's always the fans, and actually not even the fans, it's always the media who are the last to come around, unfortunately. And we're seeing that now with, poor Pogba, who is really going through it at the moment. I'm sure we'll get onto that in a moment.
Yeah, let's get onto that. I mean, I just wrote an article for UMax that's just come out today as we record this. We're recording this on the Wednesday in between the 2 United games. And, it's just a Wednesday. It's not the Wednesday in between 2 United games. That's all Wednesdays. Anyway, I just wrote an article for UMax, it basically saying he had one bad game after a run of, it's not a particularly hot take, but after a run where he was either the best player or the second best player in 6 of 9 wins in the run before that. He's obviously come into his own. But what do you put that Liverpool performance down to? Was it the hashtag? Was it the hair?
Here's the thing with Pogba. He is a far more shy and sensitive person than maybe even his sponsors understand. I'm not sure they quite understood what they were getting, because you look at Pogba from the outside and you're like, oh, he's tall and he's striking and he's very well dressed and he's flamboyant, he's very stylish. But actually, the guy is he's a fairly simple guy with fairly simple tastes. He's a smart guy, but he's a pretty chilled out, down to earth dude. So you'll hear those stories about him playing around in the schoolyard with his friends, booking out the Trafford Centre, all that. You hear those stories, right? And that's who Pogba really is. And so that at some point, I think there comes a point where it's like, okay, that's all a bit much. Let me just get back to playing football. And I think that the Liverpool game was a classic example of it was all too much. It was too much. The front came down and you saw it because there was this anxiety. There was a pass he was trying to play out to Martial on the left flank. Martial's playing out of his mind, obviously. It was a simple 5-yard pass and he overhit it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. sloppy passes into feet, wasn't beating men as well, was making difficult choices. And, you know, if he'd scored that goal, I mean, the left foot that he got wide, I mean, he made a brilliant run for it, actually, got into position for it. And he hit it wide, and you just thought, you need something to settle your nerves. And he didn't get it in that match. I think if he'd scored, it would have changed everything, because he would have channeled the crowd, he would have channeled the mood and everything. But Pogba's not that guy. He's not a Neymar. Neymar is cold-blooded on that stuff. Neymar, you can throw all the marketing at him, he won't crack. But Pogba, I think they've got to be a little bit more careful. I mean, the tweet the night before about, you know, let's kick some ass, I was thinking, against Liverpool? I remember seeing that and going, oh, I'm not sure about that. Like, your tweet, you're going to kick some ass against Liverpool, like one of the most like aggressive teams of pressing in the Premier League, one of the best teams in the Premier League. On their day, arguably the best, can blow anybody out of the water. And I thought, that's not a good look. Whoever sanctioned that tweet they need a bit of a dressing down, because that stuff just doesn't help, unfortunately.
I'm really pleased to hear you say that, because I think this is something that isn't getting talked about enough. Did you see the interview? It was shared widely. Zlatan was being interviewed by Thierry Henry. It's a great classic Hilaro banter Zlatan interview, you know. And then Pogba is invited by Zlatan into the shot. You know, obviously he knows Henry, and it's all very chummy. But actually, if you have any understanding of kind of body language and reading people's eye contact and stuff like that, you can see that Pogba is actually slightly nervous. And there's
yes, the deference is hilarious. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's something that people wouldn't even necessarily take from that, because he's very confident, and you know, they're joking about putting Pog before various different words and all this kind of stuff. But you're absolutely right. There's a kind of shyness that isn't really addressed, because he is so larger than life, you know, in his presentation.
Yeah, I think Zlatan. If you cut Zlatan, he bleeds ego. I think that's just standard, right? Mm-hmm. But what was funny with the Zlatan header, and I think I said this to you before, like, he bailed him out. Like, it's like the big brother bailing him out. Yeah. Like, if that draw got everyone out of jail, yes, Pogba had a shocker, he'd admit that. But a 1-1 draw against Liverpool, in the context of a season, you know what? It's a good result. A 1-1 draw, it's a good result. Pick up points elsewhere. Liverpool drop points, it's not a problem. And I just thought that was actually such a wonderful microcosm, again, of that interview that you see when you kind of see Pogba come into shot. He's got so much respect for Zlatan already. They kid each other around. And the hilarious moment when Zlatan goes, you're doing all this fancy like stuff on these mixed martial arts. Just use one punch. What's all this fancy flamboyant stuff? And Zlatan's like, just put it in there. You know, don't mess about. And you can imagine the teasing. I mean, the great moment when it was at Pogba's first game when Zlatan was like, you should have passed.
Yeah. It was good.
And when you see those moments, you're like, that's why Mourinho signed him. That is why, because actually that leadership won't come from Rooney, because Rooney, unfortunately, is not performing at that Zlatan level anymore. So it's going to need an on-pitch leader. And, you know, Zlatan gets compared to Cantona, and it's actually unfair, because Cantona changed the course of United's modern presence in football, right? That's an unfair expectation. But what Zlatan has helped to do is return that swagger. I think he has been actually primarily responsible. I think I would go as far as to say that he's been primarily responsible for returning United's swagger, which is an incredible achievement, I have to say.
And then just to completely shift tack, I mean, still United stuff, but just in terms of the area of the pitch, it's not a massive surprise that Zlatan's come in and provided this uplift. I think a lot of us hoped that would be the case. The thing that's been most surprising, and we have to again sort of say Liverpool game aside, has been the performance of Jones and Rojo as a centre-back pairing, which I did not see that coming at all.
I cannot say we have to give Mourinho full credit for that, because my goodness, Rojo didn't look like much of anything. He looked like a left centre back in a three. He didn't like a wing back. He didn't like anything. There was when Rojo arrived at United, the most impressive thing about him, I thought, was the speed of his pass into feet and his ambition of passing. Rojo would cut in the field very well, but he would also really rip the ball into the feet of the attacking midfielder and the centre mids. That was such an impressive skill, because that's a hard thing to do as a passer. And I thought that's a redeeming quality. We can work with that. what Mourinho has done is he's made Rojo a low-risk player. Like when you saw him against Liverpool, you were like, he's going to sort that out. There was no when I saw Jones made mistakes against Liverpool, but when Rojo was involved, I was like, I'm not worried about him. The ball's in his area, it's in his zone. I don't have any doubt that he will not only clear it, but clear it to an area where it won't be a secondary danger. That's a remarkable achievement, and that's been consistent through the streak of United's undefeated run.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it looks really coaching heavy, doesn't it? Because this is not something we've seen from them before.
It does. Something's happened. Like the way Rojo is playing the ball with confidence, he's playing with no nonsense. There was a great moment late in the game when he just like absolutely hacked a clearance, like proper like Sunday League central defender, no nonsense. And I thought, yes, you know when to play it long, you know when to play it short, you know when to play it out sensibly, play it down the line. You're overlapping fairly well when you get forward, out of the kind of centre defensive box. I was really impressed by that. And Jones, we knew what Jones's qualities were. With Jones, it was more a case of returning to fitness, because when his conditioning is back, then he's fine. But Rojo has really been a standout in that sense in terms of coaching.
Brilliant. So the rest of the season, where do you see United? What do you see United doing in the rest of the season? What's your reading of the tea leaves as they currently stand?
Well, here's the thing. United have a strong squad. Having said that, the teams above United are performing well. This is it's amazing you can go on a run like United have and still be sort of fifth, sixth. I think, putting my blinkers and my bias aside, it's going to be tough to break into the top four, and I think United might end up in fifth again. Might sort of fifth, sixth again. Fifth maybe, I think, at a push, just because those teams just seem to have a little too much in the tank, and United have left themselves slightly too much to do, unfortunately, in my view. And that's taking my blinkers off. I'd love to have my blinkers on and be like, top three, top three.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, none of us know, and all of these things are eminently possible. Any position between second and sixth would not be a surprise at this point. I think anything outside of second and sixth would be. Yes,
and actually, it would be. If you look how good the teams are, let's not kid ourselves as well. This is a really good top six. It has been a terrific sort of race so far, I think.
There's one exception there, in a way, isn't there? And it's the most surprising exception. They won 10 games in a row when he got there, but you mentioned not being able to do it on a wet Tuesday afternoon. The king of can he do it on a wet Tuesday night at Stoke is, of course, Pep Guardiola.
Right.
I'd be really interested, as someone that's obviously watched a lot of Barcelona over the years when he was there. I don't know how much Bayern you watched, but you were in Germany, so I guess you watched quite a lot. What have you made of his early struggles?
I am absolutely bewildered. I look at the players he has, and I think to myself, why didn't you do more shopping before you arrived? But really, I don't understand that. Like, these players are clearly not the specification that you wanted, the fullbacks in particular. They're not good enough. Why are they there? Why didn't you buy other ones? Because you're Guardiola. You could have brought better players and you have got all the money. Bravo, I think there's a lot of talk about how Bravo has only saved a certain percentage of his shots. Actually, a lot of those have been very good efforts on goal. If you look at a lot of the goals that have been conceded by City, Bravo's been exposed for a lot of them. There's a lot of clear runs on goal, and that's John Stones. So, you could argue that the signing of John Stones has been unsuccessful so far, unfortunately. It's been unsuccessful. And he should have bought better. So, and also, I have to say as well, his demeanour, Guardiola's demeanour in the press conferences is also very concerning. He's being asked fairly straightforward questions about, do you feel that Aguero is contributing enough? By one of our mutual friends asked him that. And, the guy's kind of blowing his top at people, which is, Guardiola's always had that irascible attitude. But the difference is, he was at Barcelona before, and Barcelona, he had trouble there, but he was working with players where he could see improvement. Guardiola, the difference was when Barcelona was struggling, he was looking at the training ground going, yes, but this is going to click and we're going to just steamroll everyone. Bayern, he gets in at Bayern, he's got players who execute his strategy. He is now looking at the training ground at Man City, and Guardiola's a smart guy. He's looking at his players, he's looking at Liverpool's players, United's players, Spurs, Arsenal, and he's thinking, these players, some of them aren't as good as my opposition. And Chelsea too, of course, we can't forget. And I think that's why he's rattled, because he doesn't see an improvement coming in the short term. He knows he's going to need summer to buy new players and then kind of, I think, prove himself to the British public. At the moment, they're very sceptical.
And even though you sort of suggested that understandably, with all blinkers and bias set to one side, United don't make the top four. If they do make the top four, who would you say are the two most likely teams that they'll leapfrog? I mean, I guess we have to have City in there, so who's the other one?
I think it would be City, and I think it would be... I think it might be... You know what? I think it might be Arsenal. I say that because Liverpool have this attack, which is ferocious, and they will, I think, just hold out long enough, for Mane to get back from the African Cup of Nations, and they'll be okay. I think Spurs, even though the one thing about Spurs, the question mark over Spurs was the size of the squad, right? But actually, they're managing that very well. Now they're out of Europe as well. So you've got Chelsea, who are not in Europe. You've got Liverpool, not in Europe, and you've got Spurs. That's what they've got in common. And I think that the Champions League is going to really take a toll on Arsenal and City.
I think it's going to take a very long toll on Arsenal, though.
Well, psychologically. I think psychologically.
Right, yeah.
Well, oh, poor Arsenal. Look, listen, if any Arsenal listeners... Actually, no, you think I hate you guys anyway. No, I really like Arsenal, but I'm just saying, if there are two teams that will drop out, if United to get up there, I think it was more likely to be Arsenal and City than any other.
Is there anything you'd like to plug before we go?
Yes, there is actually. There is an absolutely wonderful take on football, one of the best takes on United you'll hear. It's called the Rankcast, so I'd advise you all to check that out. Whenever possible. Yeah, no,
oh, that's nice. That's good.
It's quite...
That's like an Inception plug.
It's quite the thing, yeah. Rantception. I'm really hoping... really hoping they'll invite me on. Actually, I suppose what's going on right now... do you know what? Actually, I would just advise everyone to just keep listening to you guys and just support Pogba, and
yes.
Support our amazing, and let's keep this united. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it united. And you can find me on Twitter if you want to. If you probably know who I am by now. If you don't, then save yourself the trouble. But no, I want to plug Marcus Rashford, because I think that Marcus Rashford is the closest thing that we have in English football to Thomas Müller. There, I've said it. I think he's the closest thing we have to Müller. I think his game intelligence is mind-blowing. I think his skill set's terrific. So, yeah, those are my plugs, the Rankcast and Pogba and Marcus Rashford.
Wow, we're in esteemed company there. That's awesome.
There we go. Only the best for the ranters.
All right. Thanks, Musa. Take care.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
Massive thanks to Musa for taking time out to join us on the show. And, of course, the guest interviews on the show are brought to you by the good people who choose to back the podcast at patreon.com/rankcast, where you can sign up for extra content every week and also trinkets like mugs and T-shirts and art prints and stuff like that. So check that out at patreon.com/rankcast.
Very good. So, shall we take some questions?
We have got so many listener questions today. I don't know what it was about the listeners today, but they were super up for it. So we're going to get through as many of them as we can, because we're playing Hull on. Should we just do the whole preview? We're playing Hull on Thursday night. We're 2-0 up. If we don't win, everyone associated with the club should be sacked. Right? Will that do for a preview?
Yeah.
All right. Follow My Trawler says, did we ever find out what Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham's beef was? Pretty sure it all goes back to a substitution where one came on for the other and didn't shake the other's hand or something along those lines.
It does. Yeah, it is that. Yeah, and they haven't spoken for years.
That is properly intense pettiness, isn't it?
There was a story I was reading the other day about a Japanese couple, and the husband hadn't spoken to his wife. They're still living together. Still married, hadn't spoken to his wife for 30 years, and neither of them could remember what the beef was about.
That does not sound like a healthy relationship.
No, neither was Andy Cole or Teddy Sheringham in the dressing room. On the pitch, it worked fine.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's a very strange thing. At MUFC Jeff says, question for Politicscast, which job in the US administration would you like to do?
Secretary of State for Manchester United winning.
I think I would turn down any job in the current US administration, but in a more favourable administration, I don't know.
To be fair, Paul, are you a billionaire?
I'm neither a billionaire nor a white nationalist. It seems remarkably unlikely that I'm going to get offered a job.
Does rather, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I would do something in the arts, probably. Is there anything better, asks at John Firth 19. This is the kind of questions we get. Than chicken Kiev, potato waffle and peas for dinner, brackets peas for health.
Yes.
Anything vegetarian is better than that. And that's my take.
Though, we made homemade potato waffles the other day, since we got a waffle maker for Christmas.
Nice.
Fine gadget. Fine gadget it is too, and they were pretty good.
Have you been making like regular waffles?
Well, what you mean, sort of, with a batter mix?
Yeah. Nice. What do you do? I know you well enough to know that you've been looking into waffle recipes and sourcing the best organic flours and stuff. Is that about right?
Something like that.
Yeah. At Shivam Chopra says, at what point do we stop praising Mourinho's brilliant substitutions and start blaming him for getting his starting 11 wrong? I think pretty definitively all the way through the recent good run, maybe a little bit not so much against Liverpool or Stoke, he's got both right.
Yeah, look, sometimes you have to change the nature of the game. It doesn't mean you've got the starting 11 wrong, does it?
No.
It just means that, for whatever reason, teams on top, events have gone against you, you need to change the pattern, you change it. That's right, it's good.
Absolutely. At Vieri Tweets says, did you know Wayne Rooney was the kind of guy that would play for 50 quid a week? Hashtag Shearer.
Yeah, Alan Shearer, who earns like £1 million a year with the BBC.
My favourite thing about that, though, was someone tweeted at him going, he tried to move away to get 300 grand a week at United. And Alan Shearer goes, I didn't say he'd play for Man United for 50 quid a week, which I thought was good. I thought that was good. Good banters. Next season, asks at Sean Corrers, do you think Mourinho will attempt to sign a tall, strong, Zlatan-esque striker? Cavani, any others come to mind? No, I think he's going to sign a short, lithe French second striker.
Yes. Lacazette. I wouldn't call him a second striker, though.
I can't hear Lacazette's name without thinking of a line from Hamilton, which everyone who is as obsessed as I am with Hamilton will no doubt know. I got tickets, Ed. I'm so excited.
So I heard. Yeah, I didn't, because I didn't apply for any. Maybe I should.
Hip-hop musical, like, you don't like either of those things.
I've been to see a few musicals.
What was your favourite one?
They're all kind of kiddie ones, though. So Matilda was good.
Excellent. By the way, if you like the theatre, you should definitely listen to Simon's podcast. Simon Stevens, who I mentioned earlier, has a podcast called the Royal Court Playwrights Podcast. And seriously, if you have any interest in theatre at all and are not listening to that, you're massively missing out. So check that out.
Reminds me, actually, my little one wants to go, so I'm going to take her to Curious Incident, which is
nice.
one of his plays.
Yeah, it is. It is. Simon, hook a brother up.
I wasn't. Come now. I can buy tickets.
No. Of course. John, further from his Chicken Kiev question, asked another excellent question. What's your dream goal look like? Is it from the halfway line? Does it have to be against Liverpool in the 1980s? 3 nutmegs, then the top corner?
You know what? I would. I mean, they're all great. But the goal that always sticks in my mind is, to do with my age and youth at the time.
Are you going to say Negretto?
I was going to Negrete scissor kick and it was the 1-2 and then the scissor kick. Beautiful.
Yeah. I've got 2 template perfect goals that I'd like to score, and one of them is Maradona against England in 1986, and the other one is Zlatan against England. Just the audacity of it was amazing. And the fact that they're both against England is a coincidence, not part of any beef.
Yeah, and cut to Robbie Savage in the studio going, he's still no good.
Well, yeah, quite. Would you have started Carrick over Fellaini on Saturday, especially given our next few fixtures, or was Marouane Fellaini the right call? Asks at JDenton_. I mean, is Marouane Fellaini ever the right call?
No, he's not. And, honestly, the thing is, Stoke just don't even play that kind of brand of football anymore.
They had Crouchy on the pitch, though, didn't they? And it does change them.
Yeah, but Fellaini can't defend. He can't defend. Yeah. And show off set pieces and whatever. But I think there's just too much downside having him in midfield. It just slows the game down so much. So, yes, I would always start Carrick.
And never mind Carrick, if he was not quite up to it or whatever, I still maintain that I would start Schweinsteiger over Fellaini. But yeah. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A question we often get asked at solo_troll. Also, do you rate Damian? I really like the framing of this question.
Not really.
No, Ed doesn't, and I sort of think he's a good defender, but not very good going forward. After Carrick, Pogba and Rooney, is De Gea our best mid to long range passer? Asks at Jamie Das.
Maybe. I mean, we talked about this last week, didn't we? You know, he's very comfortable on the ball.
At Lentorp says, how do you feel about Mata's blog being called 1 hour behind? Surely that foreigner will have to adapt to GMT post-Brexit. Oh, the world's falling apart. Anyway.
Maybe he's talking about GMT, you know, as opposed to British Sometime.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, maybe.
He's not.
Who'd be better at Rocket League? Asks Kale, the same person. Sir Bobby or good old Wayne? I think if you put a PlayStation 4 controller in Bobby Charlton's hand, he would look at you funny. At King Keir says, can I have a birthday shout out? Because it's you, Keir, you can. That's not going to be a running theme. Keir's special. At Ducknan says, Paul, did you get a soundbar in the end? If yes, what is it like? Also, who's the best Final Fantasy 15 boy? Prompto. And I did. It's a cheap one, but it has drastically improved the quality of my watching film experience and playing video games.
Very good.
Have you got a soundbar, Ed? You got fun?
I do have a giant Harman Kardon thing.
Yeah, just want to say mine's a lot more LG, a lot less Harman Kardon.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Excellent. Do you use it to listen to music as well?
I do occasionally, yes. And it sounds great for music. Not as good as my Audio Engine speakers. They sound even better.
Nice. Someone somewhere in these questions, I don't know if we're going to get that far, but someone asked if he could have your job because you're always somewhere sunny. And I didn't reply to him, but I was kind of thinking Ed would happily give up his job. Anyway.
Well, you know, I need to be gainfully employed. I'm not a billionaire yet, or ever likely to be. So
it's only a matter of time, Ed. At Ed P. Gleeson says, if Mourinho could bring in any one of his former players in their prime from any of his old clubs to this United team, who would he bring in and why? I think maybe Drogba to be the Zlatan next season. Maybe.
He's ancient.
Maybe.
Oh, do you mean
like
in
their
current
prime,
or from
in their prime?
In their prime.
Yeah.
In their prime. Yeah. I mean, Drogba only had about 2 good seasons.
Come on.
Mate.
I won't have that. The man's a hero. A diving, cheating hero.
Offside goal-scoring hero.
You could play Frank Lampard in a 3 with Pogba and Herrera.
You could. Just about.
Yeah. Those are his best players, aren't they?
And Ronaldo at his peak.
Iron Robin, maybe?
Yeah. Ronaldo.
Essien.
Ronaldo.
Michael Essien. Ronaldo. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot. Okay. Modric, Ronaldo. Yeah, that's fine. When Pogba says he has unfinished business at United, asks at Gary_1105, does that mean he'll want to leave once he wins the Premier League or Champions League?
No, he's talking about the reserves. Did he ever win the under-21 league title with the reserves?
They won the FA Youth Cup though, which is the best, isn't it? I'm not sure. I would be surprised if he spends the rest of his career at United. It's not the Mino Raiola client way, is it?
It's not, but he came, as he said the other week, he came to United because he wanted to be here, and he signed a long-term contract, and United had the means.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a question about whether we know the secret story that lost Mourinho the United job in 2013. I don't think I know that. And at Joey M_UX says, is the agenda still on against Rooney?
I think the answer to the first one of those is probably Moscow, hotel rooms.
Whoa, okay.
Cameras.
Who in recent seasons did you most want to sign for United but are now very glad they didn't? Asks at Big Shimmery Wall. I know. It's definitely Otamendi for me. Yeah, really wanted him.
Oh, dear. No, he's not.
Really good.
He wasn't ever that good a player. I was a big fan of Mesut Ozil when he was at Wolfsburg.
Are you really glad he didn't sign for United?
No. No, although he is definitely an in and out player, isn't he?
He certainly is. At Torso of the Week says, do we just have to accept now that we've got a squad of brilliant players who can't finish, Ibrahimovic excluded? Is it mental or technical?
Yeah, well, look, we've got more than half a season. Ibrahimovic has got a decent amount of goals this season. He's also taken more shots than any other player in the world history of football, the universe, and the cosmos. Yeah, so his conversion rate is pretty poor. I don't think that's a totally fair statistic. You know, he's not a bad finisher. He just takes a lot of shots. But yeah, the others, like, not enough goals. Not enough goals coming from Mata this season. Not enough from Mkhitaryan. Granted, he's not played the whole season. Not enough from midfield, definitely. I mean, I know Pogba's never been a big goal scorer. If we get double figures from him this season, it'll be on par. And he's kind of on track to do that. But true, yeah, it needs more goals from elsewhere.
But I don't think we've got a squad full of bad finishers. Martial, Rashford, Mkhitaryan, Mata, Pogba even. These are all players who are more than capable of finishing. Mata might be one of our best finishers, in fact, in general. So, finishing is a complicated subject, isn't it? I don't think it's a technical problem. I'd be shocked if it was. Is that about right, do you think?
Yes, but United's chance conversion rate is sort of mid-ranked.
Yeah, sure. But I don't think we can accept that we've got a squad of brilliant players who can't finish. That's all I'm saying.
True.
At Yuri_B says, this is a great question. If you had to make a modern equivalent of the Trinity statue at Old Trafford, who'd you have in it? Giggs, Cantona, Rooney? I think the thing about the Trinity statue is it has to be three players who excelled together, I think, if you're going to do that. And I think you would have to make it like, I don't know, Giggs, Scholes and Beckham, or Giggs and Scholes and Neville, maybe. But I think given that George Best kind of shone brightly and briefly at United, I think Giggs, Scholes and Beckham makes sense.
I think that's right. I mean, Wazza can have his statue if he wants.
Yeah. I think then you make a load of individual statues for, like, Roy Keane, and maybe you could maybe...
Well, outside which brothel do you think we should put it?
Not the Roy Keane one, surely. That's not... We won't say anything bad about you, Roy. Just want to be absolutely clear about that. I mean, you couldn't really object if they made a statue of Wayne Rooney outside Man United, really, could you? No,
I think he should leave the club first.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Someone, I can't remember who, sorry, but someone on Twitter making a very good point that if for no other reason than if they made a statue now, it would just be loads of people banging on about how he's got a terrible first touch. But if you just wait 5 years, everyone will be happy, which I thought was sound. Tony Valencia nailed on to win our Player of the Year this season, asks at Connor Gates 1. Lad even crossed with his left peg 3 times versus Stoke. I noticed that. It was really noticeable. And an anonymous question also asking whether Mourinho's right when he says Valencia's the best right-back in the world.
I'm not sure he is right about that one, but he's made huge progress this season, hasn't he? I mean, a string of great performances and very little defensive liability. So, which is great progress from what he was, which was neither of those things. So, I don't think he's United's best player. That said, it does come up with an interesting question. Who is? And we talked about this a few weeks ago, so maybe that's a rhetorical question, but it's not clear, is it? There's no standout this season.
I guess it's Zlatan, right, for the goals. I mean, they're so important, and there's so many of them. If we do anything this season, like, he's going to have been instrumental in it. But, I think Herrera's in with a reasonable shout. I think Pogba's in with a reasonable shout. We'll see what happens from here on out. But I'd say Herrera, Pogba, Zlatan and Valencia. Those would be my top 4, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, I thought Wayne would add to that group for his performances pre-Christmas.
Yes, and we'll see.
Not in the team at the moment, so we'll see, and we've got a few months left.
Yeah, we certainly have. At Jeff Peckar 17, this is a great question. How highly does that Rooney free kick rank for you among his 250 goals? Top 5 for me, says Jeff. Top 5 is big.
No.
Yep.
So let's talk about the overhead.
Yes.
That outrageous volley against Newcastle.
Yep.
Oh, he's absolutely burst the net because he was so angry with the ref. The chip against, was it Portsmouth?
Yeah, it was.
The only time he's ever scored with a decent chip. Every other one has floated over the crossbar.
The goal he's been
of
trying.
The 472nd attempt, yeah. Let's think of some brilliant others. Arsenal counter-attack.
Yeah, so many, but times
team
about
goal.
1 million.
Yeah.
The Borough volley. that's up there with the Newcastle one. Free kick against Fenerbahce was pretty good, wasn't it?
On debut.
Yeah.
So some crackers, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was a very good goal.
Yeah.
From a difficult angle.
And I think, it took us a little while to get a 5 that we would say are definitely better than it. So, it's in with a top 10 chance, I would say. But, you need one of those programmes, those all the goals programmes on MUTV to watch them all back to back to remember them all. With rebranding being all the rage at the moment, asks at Mark LM Steele, would you welcome one as long as Football Club was brought back? This is just an excuse, really, so I could bring up the Juventus rebrand to hear you get mad about modern football.
Hate modern football. I did, I thought it was kind of laughable. And then I read some puff piece in, I can't remember what newspaper, going on about how smart and intelligent Juve are for pissing all over 100 years of history. I mean, they rebranded about 10 years ago, but it was a minor rebrand and they've tinkered with the badge. But, from 1905 till basically today, it's sort of been similar, stripes and a few stars and whatever. This is completely different, this sort of minimalist J. Turn it on its side, it looks like a big cock.
The thing about it is if it was like a cool fan T-shirt design or like an internet, a blog header design, you'd be like, oh yeah, that is cool. But yeah, it's not really fit for purpose, is it? But yeah, I would love to see Football Club back on the badge, obviously. Goes without saying, doesn't it? I mean, the fact that it's not there, it just tells you so much. So much. Anyway. At BillyBob31310, Januzaj and Memphis, do we think Fergie could have realised their potential or were neither never really good enough? I think he'd have had a pretty good shot.
Yeah. There was a good stats piece I read on Memphis this week that said he, in Holland, he over-indexed on the amount of possessions he got, use of possession, which meant he got a lot of ball and therefore was able to score a lot of goals and a lot of assists. And he was never going to get anywhere near that kind of amount of possession at United, given the amount of other players. And therefore, it looks all very disappointing, which was, one way of putting some kind of framework around his failure at United. And I think his failure is beyond just the numbers, isn't it? Januzaj, I mean, he's got everything, hasn't he? In terms of technical ability to play in multiple positions. Think about his best games and you got the song "The Boy Can Do Anything," and he really could have done. The attitude seems to have let him down. Would Fergie have fixed that? You kind of suspect he would have.
Yeah, although, the thing is, it's very easy to mythologise Fergie. There were things that went wrong as well as things that went right. But generally, would Fergie have made this work? The answer is on the balance of probability, yes. That's... Am I a traitor, asks at a_matter_of_time if I like Maruchan noodles more than Nissin. It's like liking I don't know, Toyota electrical goods instead of Sharp electrical goods. Interesting that Sharp sponsor one of the stands at Stoke. Very smart branding, given that Mark Hughes is there. Good little linky there. And then last one, at Benny Hudson, when we ship Rooney off to China, can we bring Sir Bobby back and stick him on pens to get the record?
Oh, man. Yes, good idea.
I don't think Sir Bobby, bless him, would score a single one.
He probably wouldn't. Talking of screwing with tradition, we were having a little chat about this on our Rankcast WhatsApp group. Very exclusive membership of that group.
It's me, you and Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, if you give us £1 million a month, you still can't be in there. Yeah. About Tottenham's new stadium. They announced some details this week, many of which would follow the tradition of modern football. #hate modern football, including £15,000 a year seats. You have to buy 2, can't just buy 1, but you do get access to the exclusive fromagerie. That's cheese cellar for anyone who doesn't speak,
It's mad.
French.
Why have Spurs got an exclusive fromagerie?
I don't know.
I mean, that discussion came about because I was advocating an extremely pro Alexis Sanchez dog banner stance. Unsurprisingly, I've come out 100% firmly in favour of that banner. It is my sincere belief that that is the best banner in football. I can appreciate that others have a difference of opinion on that subject.
Yeah, I think it's kind of silly. It's not as silly as the chosen one, though, is it?
No, they've got a long, long way to go. I think there might have been a translated version the last Arsenal game, which means they have 2 Alexis Sanchez dog banners. And to be fair, the only thing better than 1 Alexis Sanchez dog banner is 2. So, I'm all for that as well. So that is a huge number of Twitter questions, and we didn't even get to maybe... We did about 2/3 of them, so I'm sorry if we didn't get to yours, but we should pay at least some lip service to the 2 games coming up. I mean, I was kind of joking about that whole game, but honestly, it would be an absolute disaster if we got anything other than, the result we need from that game, given that it just has to not be a loss by more than 2 goals.
And it won't be. It doesn't really matter. I mean, he'll rotate a little bit, but he's not going to play a weak side. Because he wants to get in this final. Great chance, especially with Liverpool losing at Southampton, although it looks like Southampton have lost Van Dijk for the return leg, which is a big loss for them.
I'm going out on a limb and saying that's not how it's pronounced.
No, Van Dijk. Yeah. Depends whether he plays well or not, doesn't it?
Yeah.
United aren't going to lose. Just not going to happen. I think we'll be safe in that one.
Yeah. Marco Silva had a decent impact since getting there, hasn't he? That big win for them.
Yeah.
Against Bournemouth. And I think he's a manager that pretty much everyone is massively rooting for because of Paul Merson and Phil Thompson.
Yeah. Oh, my God. The Brexit of commentary pairings. Yeah. Just, if you haven't seen that one, I'm sure we talked about it before, didn't we?
Yeah. If you haven't seen it,
transcript.
If you haven't, do yourself a favour and don't. No good can come of knowing that this is what's in the world.
No. Turn on to a Sean Spicer press conference instead.
For equally
look up some
coverage.
alternative facts.
League One managers should be given a chance because of their knowledge of the Premier League.
The problem is all these foreigners are coming in and taking jobs. So Paul Merson, that is. Who should get the job? Well, what about Thierry Henry?
To be fair, I think Merson is just not very bright. Thompson, there was an edge. There was an edge to that. There was an unpleasant edge. Anyway, talking of managers that people wish well, probably fair to say that everybody associated with Manchester United Football Club wishes the manager of Wigan well, given that it is Warren Joyce. Yeah,
who has an outrageously good record with United's under-21 team and won countless Premier League under-21 trophies and whatever it was called before that. Did a great job, and just look at the squad today of Rashford and Lingard and others that are around the fringes of the squad, and you can see the fruits of Warren Joyce's work at United.
Lingard, you can't. Lingard is the fruits of Rene Moulenstein's work because actually Lingard is super old, so he's the same age as Paul Pogba, obviously.
Yeah, it's true, but we'd like to think of him as a youngster. Otherwise, we'd have to judge him very differently, wouldn't we?
Yes, quite. They are just outside the relegation zone.
He's taken over a dog of a team, so some of those under-21 teams he had were much better than this Wigan team. He's
got 2 wins in his last 3 games, although one of those was in the FA Cup, obviously. Against Forest, that's how they got here. No, they've won all 3 because they beat Burton Albion and Wigan in the championships and Brentford in the championship. 2 massive results for them. Burton, the team just below them at the moment, so that would have been huge. What can you tell me about the current Wigan squad, Ed?
You'll have to edit this large silence out, Tom, while I look at. Let's pull out some. No. So we're going to talk about Andy Kellett. Nick Powell's there. Nick Powell's there? Yeah, he is. Nick Powell's there. Reece James and Will Grigg.
Will Grigg is on fire. And Ryan Tullycliffe.
Right. Well, what I can tell you is it's like Warren Joyce's old team. We've got Reece James, Nick Powell, Ryan Tunnicliffe, And Andy Kellett, which I'm not sure really counts as a ex-United player. Sort of does. Kind of weird one, that one. And of course, Will Grigg, who I hear through sources that he's on fire. Poor guy.
There's a health and safety issue regarding Will Grigg. Our friend Reece James and Powell for Matter. This is a Lou Van Gaal tribute situation we've got going on here.
Plenty of experience in the Wigan squad. Also, Jyski Jääskeläinen, long-time Premier League goalkeeper. So some decent players, not decent enough to keep them in a decent position in the Championship, of course.
No, but it'll be huge if Joyce can keep them up, and everyone wants him to, and everyone wants him to get battered on Sunday even. Why are we playing Thursday, Sunday in the League Cup, FA Cup? Like, what is this? Is this like just Jose's paid him off to get them acclimatised for the return of the UEFA Cup?
Yeah, I think it's called the Europa League these days.
Yeah. You might be right, Mr. Milk Cup.
It's always the best cup. I guess so. It's really odd United playing on Thursday, obviously for TV coverage purposes, but very strange. And what do we have after that? It's a break and then Hull again, I think, in the league. Yeah,
absolutely. Not a long break. In fact, it's pretty much. I think we're playing Hull midweek the following week, and then we play Leicester away the following weekend. So fixtures come in thick and fast, and most of them are against Hull.
Good job we didn't draw Hull in the FA Cup, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and then go to a replay. It's a weird one, isn't it? You'd expect us to be confident of beating them every time we play them.
Yeah, for a very short period, my dad lived in Hull.
Right.
He worked there. It was total dump. And it smells bad.
Capital of culture, they know what they are. Not a good chant. I'm for the Alexis Sanchez banner. I'm against the capital of culture. We know what we are. City of culture, we know what we are.
All right, so enough for the previews. Were they thorough enough for you?
It basically boils down to Will Grigg plays for Wigan. That's what we did. That's what you got out of the previous section.
But does he? But are you sure about that? I mean, we may have some alternative facts to present here.
Yeah, the alternative facts are that he is actually on fire, and the song was not metaphorical at all. I've got an alternative fact for you. Mata plays for Wigan and Powell plays for us.
Wow. I guess that's it. Two heavy wins coming up, surely, even with multiple changes.
Yeah, I don't know about a heavy win away at Hull. I'm going to go with 2-0 for an aggregate 4-0 win. And then I guess 3-0 at home against Wigan. That seems almost conservative.
You know what? I'm going to go for a big win for United because Hull are going to have to come out. The only thing they're actually able to do is defend, and they can't do that very well. So they're going to have to open up, and I think United will batter them as a result.
Okay, you think that Mourinho talked about a team was going to be on the end. He keeps thinking the team's going to be on the end of like a 6 or 7 goal thumping. You think it might be hard?
Yeah. And I think he's going to play a few of the youngest. Then Martial, and if Martial's fit, and Rashford will have to play, won't they? They need a few minutes, and he's going to end up playing quite a creative team. And I think we're going to win 4-0.
Okay, great. And what about Wigan?
I want to go for 4-0 there too as well, because Wigan are rubbish.
8-0 aggregate wins for United in the coming weeks.
I'm telling you, there's a 35% probability I'm right.
No doubt about it. One thing that is not an alternative fact is that, all being well, we will be back next week with another one of these. And that if you, the good people who have backed the show on Patreon, stay tuned, you'll hear us do a special on Sir Bobby Charlton's career with Manchester United. So stay tuned for that if you're a backer. Everyone else, we will see you same time next week.
Well, the population of backers is huge.
Don't allow him to wander in unnecessary, silly positions.
Options here for Van Nistelrooy. One of them is Wayne Rooney! Wayne Rooney scores for Manchester United. And it's not the last time that you'll hear that. 17 minutes into his European career, Wayne Rooney finds the big stage just to his liking.
Never in any doubt. I think we all expected this to happen tonight at some point, maybe not so soon. What a beautiful, crisp finish that was. Left foot looks up, has a little look where the keeper is, and just thinks, yeah, I'm just going to punch this just beyond him. It's a great finish, great spot from Van Nistelrooy. That is a lovely finish. Giggs. Rooney. He's done it again! Give him the stage, and Wayne Rooney will perform. It's Rooney. It's inevitable. Some things are just meant to be. Wayne Rooney has saved his first senior hat-trick for his Manchester United debut in the Champions League. There is to each face, never mind the back page. What a strike. So confident. I think we all felt he might do it, he just might do it, but to step up and do that, hat-trick on your debut in the Champions League is absolutely top class.
Hey, will you? Giggs. Rooney! Oh! How good was that? The big nine gets a big finish from Wayne Rooney. Rattled it past Dida. And in stoppage time, Manchester United have got themselves a lead to take to Milan. And Athens moves back onto their horizon.
For Manchester United, a little knock in the first half. Now here's Rooney! Oh my goodness me! That is one of the strikes of the season! Absolutely brilliant, fantastic from Wayne Rooney. It's not often I'm speechless. When you pay 28 million for a special talent, this is what you get.
And Rooney's off down the centre here. He's got the other side of Cooper. Schwarzer starting to come, and Rooney has lifted it over him for a fabulous goal. Old Trafford salutes Wayne Rooney. And here's Neville. Rooney again. Oh, he's floated one over David James. That's absolutely marvellous. That's a magical goal in the FA Cup by Wayne Rooney. Astonishing vision and perfect technique. That's Sahar. Rooney! Oh! Emphatic. What a goal with which to finish a cup tie. Wayne Rooney.
Rooney. And it's Nani on the gallop again. He's got Park with him. Arsenal trying to stream back. In for Rooney! 2-0 Manchester United.
It's a strain managing Barcelona, a lot of politics. And you're expected to win every game. Of course, they do win most. And this is Rooney.
And Rooney has equalised for Manchester United. He's struggled in previous finals. He's centre stage now.
And a big thank you to Ryan Giggs as well. But we wondered about Rooney, could he step up on the grandest of stages? Well, he's just given his answer. Has he drifted offside? Maybe, factually, Ryan Giggs, but he does a great job of controlling it with his left thigh and then just rolling it back into the striker. And look at that for a conclusive finish. And what a time to score as well. Manchester United.
Nani.
Rooney! Oh, wonderful! What a goal! And what a time! In what a place! What a player! Wayne Rooney out of this world! 2-1 United!
One of the great goals in the history of the Manchester derby at Old Trafford on the 12th of February 2011.
Here's Rooney with a turn. Rooney goes for the extraordinary. Oh, and it's an unbelievable goal from Wayne Rooney. Spectacular from Wayne Rooney. There's one for the album, and there's a man who knows how to score goals like that. Just as he did against Wimbledon all those years ago. David Beckham on the spot to see Wayne Rooney come up with a very special...
It's Rooney! Oh, my word! History! Wayne Rooney does it in style. What a moment. Sir Bobby Charlton's record is gone.
And one man stands alone for Manchester United.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.